Hello friends, welcome back. In this video, we will discuss one more critical reasoning exercise that would be helpful for you in attempting the VRC section of CAT and the verbal ability sections of other management entrance examinations. So we'll straight away move to the questions. Question number one. I'll give you some time to read the question, read the passage, the question, as well as the options. All right. So the passage is typically or basically talking about the problem faced by the ocean freighter industry. What is an ocean freighter? Big ships that carry freight through ocean is called ocean freighter. Means the tankers, the container ships, etc. They are called the ocean freighters. So the industry they were tackling or trying to tackle the problem of economy. What is the problem of economy? Means the problem between the expenditure as well as the income. So that is the problem of economics. Means whenever there is a disparity between the expenditure and income, where the industry is or the business is not able to make a profit, that is called a problem of economy. So here the problem of economy was thought to be because of the extra fuel consumption and the slow speed of the freighter. So that is why for 50 years the industry worked to make ocean freighters faster and to lower their fuel consumption. So they assumed that the problem of why the industry is not profitable or why there is a problem between the income and expenditure in the industry is because of the higher fuel consumption and the low speed of the freighters. That is why they try to make the freighters faster and lower the consumption. Despite considerable success, they succeeded to some extent. Still, the economy of the industry grew worse. Means the problem was not at all solved. Means they were able to make the freighters faster. They were able to reduce the fuel consumption. Still, the problem of economics was lingering. Means the problem was not solved, and because the problem was lingering, the industry after 50 years became almost extinct. Though this was the issue. So now, what was the real problem? That is stated in the next sentence. What was wrong was the incongruity between assumptions and reality. Incongruity means lack of connectivity or lack of uh, singularity between the assumptions and the reality. So what is the meaning? Means they assumed that something is a problem, something is causing the problem of economics, but the reality was something else was causing the problem. So that is stated in the last sentence. The real cause means the real expenditure was coming not from time spent at sea. Means the industry was assuming that when a freighter is spending longer time at sea, when the freighters are not very fast, and then when there is lot of fuel consumption, so that is why the costs are coming or there is more cost. But this is not the actual fact. It is the real costs are coming from time spent in port during an loading and unloading. So this is the real issue. So the real issue in the ocean freighter industry is not because of the costs involved in when the freighter is at sea. It is because of the cost involved when the freighters are spending time in ports during loading and unloading. These are the things given to us. Now, which action would be leading to a solution of the problem faced by the industry as analyzed in the passage? So once you have understood the passage, the answer becomes very simple. The problem is because of the time spent by the ocean freighters in port during loading and unloading. So that is why more cost is coming. This was the real issue. So when you think of a solution, you have to think of a solution that will reduce the time spent in port during loading and unloading. So that is the simple issue. Once you understand it, the answer becomes very clear. We will go through the options one by one. Developing a ship's engine that runs on a cheaper type of fuel than that traditionally used by ocean freighters. So when you have a cheaper type of fuel, what will happen? The fuel consumption will be reduced. But we know that the real problem is not because of the fuel consumption. Fuel is being consumed when the freighters are were traveling through sea. But here we know that the problem is at when the freighters are at rest in port during loading and unloading. At that time, there may not be too much fuel consumption. So even if you develop a cheaper type of problem, that is actually you are catering to the problem as assumed by the industry. You are not catering to the problem that is the real problem. So that is why this is not the answer, because here you are trying to solve the problem that is assumed to be the problem, but we know that in reality this is not the real problem. So this solution is not going to work. Option B, developing a ship with accessible cargo compartments that can be mechanically loaded and unloaded very rapidly. So this is a solution. This could be a solution, because we know that the real problem is too much expenses are there when the ships are spending longer time in ports for loading and unloading. So when you have an accessible cargo compartment which can be mechanically loaded and unloaded very rapidly, means the time spent in port during loading and unloading can be reduced. When that time is reduced, the cost also will come down. So this is actually catering to the actual problem. So this could be a probable solution. Keep it in your mind. Option C, developing a ship whose freight capacity relative to the ship's total volume is much larger than that of any existing ship. When you have a ship with a larger freight capacity, what will happen? It can carry more cargo. But our problem is not regarding the lesser cargo space or the ships not able to carry higher cargo or anything like that. So that is why this option also is not going to reduce the time spent in port during loading and unloading. So this is not going to be a good solution. Option D, implementing a system ensuring that ocean freighters are loaded to capacity whenever they leave a port. So this again is talking about all the ocean freighters should be completely full. There should not be any empty space in the inside the freighters once they leave a port. When you do that, what will happen? It will take more time to do loading and unloading. So this is not going to solve our problem. Our problem or solution should consist of something that reduces the time that is spent in ports for loading and unloading. So this cannot be an answer. Option E, implementing a marketing plan that focuses on routes that are not to be least threatened by unfavorable weather, thus permitting rapid trips and reliable arrival times. Again, it is talking about rapid trips. So this is why it is talking about the problem that was assumed by the industry, which is the uh, low speed of the freighters. When you have when you have a marketing plan that promotes rapid trips, while you are actually thinking about a solution to the assumed problem, you are not really thinking about a solution to the real problem. So that is this also is not the correct answer. So very clearly option B is the correct answer, because when you have a ship which can be easily loaded and unloaded rapidly, the time spent in port will be reduced, so the cost will be reduced. So this will solve the problem. So option B will be your answer. All right, go to the next one. Bay means a portion of the sea that is coming into the land is called a bay. Means a portion of the sea that is surrounded by land on three sides is called a bay. Shrimp. What is shrimp? A shrimp is a small type of prawn. Prawns, shrimp and prawn are similar creatures, but shrimps are smaller in size than prawns. But we can say shrimps are prawns. So here the question or the issue is about the increased concentration of salt in the bay. Bay means, as I told earlier, part of the sea which is coming into the land or inland, coming inland, which is surrounded by land on three sides. That part of the sea is called a bay. So when there is a high concentration of salt in the bay, what will happen? This salt concentration is because of the drought and high temperatures, and because of the high concentration of salt which fish cannot tolerate, fish will die. Whereas shrimp can so tolerate this high salt level, so shrimp industry cannot be affected. So the passage is saying that fish industry will be affected by the high concentration of salt in the bay, whereas shrimp industry is not affected. Now your question is uh, to find a statement that will weaken the argument. So you have to understand what is the argument. Before going through the options, you have to understand what is the argument. The argument is the second sentence. The argument is that the shrimp industry is not going to be affected by the increased concentration of salt. So this is the argument. The first statement is actually a fact given to you to support the argument. It says that there is going to be some impact on the fish industry due to the higher concentration of salt, but the shrimp can tolerate the high salt concentration, as a result of which shrimp industry will not be affected by this problem. That is the argument. Now we have to find a statement that will weaken the argument, or in other words, we have to find a statement that will weaken the point that the shrimp industry is not going to be affected by the increased concentration of salt. Or to make it further simple, we can say that we have to find a statement that implies that the shrimp industry is going to be affected by the higher concentration of salt. Once you understand that, your answer becomes very, very easy and evident. Option B, some salt-resistant varieties of fish are also present in the bay. So what it means? It means that there are some varieties of fish which are not going to be affected, so they can survive. With the passage says that the fish are going to be affected. So what this statement is actually doing, it is weakening this fact given to you. Is it weakening the argument? No, our argument is not about whether a fish is going to be affected or not affected. Our argument is, as I have about shrimp industry not going to be affected. So this option may seem like a good answer to you because the salt resistant varieties of fish means they will not be affected. So it weakens the fact that the fish industry is going to be affected. But our question is to find a statement that weakens the argument. The argument is not really about the fish industry, it is about the shrimp industry. That is why this will not be a good answer. Option B, lack of rainfall for extended periods of time lowers the water level of bays. This is completely irrelevant. Our question is not about the reason for the water level going down. We know that the reason for the higher concentration of salt is because of the drought. So the reason for that drought is given here. That's not our issue. Our issue is regarding the effect of this drought on the shrimp industry. So this again is not an answer that we are looking for. Option C, the organisms on which young shrimp feed cannot survive in such salty waters. What it means, we know that our argument is that the shrimp industry is not going to be affected. But if the shrimp or the young shrimp are not able to feed, because what happens, the organisms on which they are feeding, they will not be there because they cannot survive the salty water. So once the organisms which are the food of the young shrimp are not there, what will happen? The young shrimp will not get any food. When they don't get any food, they will die. So once they die, what will happen? The shrimp industry is going to be affected. So this is a good answer that weakens our argument that the shrimp industry is not affected. So probable answer, keep it in your mind. Option D, increased water temperature often causes shrimp to multiply more quickly. So what happens here? When the shrimp is multiplying more quickly, what will happen? More shrimp will be produced. More shrimp will be produced means the industry is not at all affected. So this is actually supporting the argument, not weakening it. So since we are not looking for a statement to support our argument, this is not our answer. Option E, shrimp are more abundant in areas of the bay that are sparsely populated by fish. What again this is doing, when the fish is dying, what will happen? The fish population will become very sparse or very thin or reduced population of shrimp. So in such areas, there will be more shrimp. So when the shrimp industry, when the shrimp number is more, what will happen? The industry will thrive or they will prosper. So again, this is supporting the argument, not weakening the argument. So you have only one answer that weakens the argument, that is option C. I hope this is clear. All right, go to the third one. Always understand the question, what can be inferred from the passage. Inferred means what can we understand clearly from the passage. We have seen in the first video on critical reasoning, where we have discussed the fundamentals of critical reasoning. We have understood the concepts of facts, inferences, assumptions, and conclusions. So inference is any understanding that you can get from the passage which is supported by the facts given to you. So inference is an understanding or a statement that is not stated clearly in the passage, but an understanding that you can clearly derive from the facts stated in the passage. That is an inference. So what are the facts given to you? The facts are that in the year 2000, 8 liters of alcohol was consumed by the people. Average consumption of alcohol in India was 8 liters, but in the year 2025, that is now, it is set as increased to 12 liters, means 4 liters increase is there in the average consumption of alcohol. And this increase is because of the population between ages 18 and 64, they are consuming more alcohol. So what is the an inference you can very clearly get? Very clearly, you can say that people between the ages of 18 and 64 are consuming more alcohol than the people either below the age of 18 or above the age of 64. That is why this increase is at least in part. It is not, we cannot say clearly that the entire increase is only because of the people between the ages of 18 and 64, but partly it is because of the the people between ages of 18 and 64 are having an increasing share of the population, means their population has increased. So between the ages of 2000 and 2025, the people between the ages of 18 and 64 have increased. Means what? When there is an increase in the people in the age group of 18 and 64, means these are the people who are actually drinking more alcohol. That is why the average consumption has increased. So that is the clear inference you can get from the passage. So once you understand that, the answer becomes very, very simple. Option A, more than half of the current population in India is between the ages of 18 and 64. Can we say anything about the population of India? We are already talking about the population between the ages of 18 and 64. There has been an increase, and we also know that the alcohol consuming population, majority of the alcohol consuming population is between the ages of 18 and 64. About the total population of India, we cannot make any inferences because we don't have any facts in the passage. So don't make any inferences based on such facts that are not provided to you. So that is why this is not a good answer. We cannot make any inferences regarding the population of India as a whole based on whatever is given to you. So that is why this is wrong. Population has risen since 2000. Yes, population has might have increased. The overall population, whether it has increased or not, can we make an assumption or an inference regarding that? The passage is only telling us that there has been an increase in the population between the ages of 18 and 64. That's all. Whether the entire total population has increased or decreased, we don't know. There may be the total population has decreased. Still, the population between a particular age group could increase. That is possible, right? So this is why this also is wrong. Option C, people over the age of 64 require on the average more alcohol than under the age of 18. Can we say that? No, we cannot make any distinction between the people above the age of 64 or below the age of 18, because we don't have any facts to support an inference. See, all inferences should be supported by facts. So this passage does not contain any facts to give us any idea about the alcohol consumption needs of either the people above the age of 64 or below the age of 18. So that is why this also is wrong. Option D, before 2000, children below the age of 18 outnumbered people between the ages of 18 and 64. What is the meaning? Before 2000, children below the age of 18 outnumbered people between the ages of 18 and 64. Again, we cannot make any inferences or any understanding about the people below the age of 18, whether they are more than the people between the ages of 18 and 64 before the year 2000. No, we cannot make. We can only say that there has been an increase in the number of people between the ages of 18 and 64 after the year 2000, and because of their increased level of consumption, the average has increased. That's all. So that is why this also is wrong. Option E, individuals between the ages of 18 and 64 consume on the average more alcohol than those younger or older. Correct. Because this age group is consuming more alcohol, and since their number has increased in the population after the year 2000, the average has gone up. So that is the inference, clear inference that we can make. So that is why option E will be your correct answer. All right, the fourth one. What is per capita real disposable personal income? The actual income a person gets to spend. Per capita means per person. So the actual income every citizen of a particular country, constituency, locality, or whatever gets to spend is the real disposable personal income. The extra disposable cash that he receives, that is the real disposable personal income per capita. What is an incumbent? The existing a person who is occupying a position at present is the incumbent. Let's say an incumbent president means the president who is at present uh, sitting and ruling as president is the incumbent. The existing person who is enjoying the powers or using the powers is an incumbent. So what is the first statement being? If every increase of 1% in the additional income that a person gets, the electorate, the share of the electorate for the incumbent increases by 2.2 percentage points. Means, let's say there is a constituency where there is an elected representative, so that is the incumbent. And if the personal income of the people in that constituency increases by 1%, the vote share of the elected member increases by 2.2 percentage. That is the meaning. Other things being equal, so all other things should be equal. Means there should not be any. Let's say there is a opponent, and there should not be any kind of distinction or any kind of negatives or positives between the two persons, the incumbent person and the opponent. So there is an election. There will be two people: the incumbent, or the person who is already enjoying the post and who is seeking re-election, and the person who is contesting or is opposing that person. So let's say both people are having the same track record, say without any issues, but there is not much of a problem or not much to choose between these two people. In such cases, that is why other things being equal, so in such cases the people look for the increase in their income. If they have an increase, they feel that their personal income has increased, the vote share for the incumbent is tending to increase by 2.2 percentage points. This is the meaning. And there has been a decline, and since 2002 there has been a decline in real disposable income only in one election year. So after their since the year 2002 elections have been conducted, only in 1 year there was a decrease in the real disposable income, and the incumbent lost that election. So what is the understanding that you can get? Every election in which there has been a increase in the real income of the voters, the voters tend to vote for the incumbent, or more voters will vote for the incumbent or the person who is ruling, so that he gets re-elected. Only in one election year there was a decrease in the personal income of the people, so the incumbent lost their election. So when there is a decrease in the personal income, the people do not vote for the existing incumbent, they will vote for the opposition candidate. This is the meaning you can get. So what is the conclusion you can be properly drawn from the passage? That is the questions. Conclusions have to be based on facts, and then you have to make some assumptions. So facts plus inferences plus assumptions will lead to the conclusion. So basically they have to be on the basis of the facts provided to you. So option A, when an incumbent runs for office, he or she is likely to win. Wrong. If that is the case, what will happen? This in the year, there was one year in which there was a decline in the income. So he, even then he should have won. So he lost. So that is why this is a wrong conclusion. People may even vote for an incumbent tainted by corruption if their disposable personal income has gone up during his or her tenure. So let's say there is an incumbent who was involved in some corruption and scandals, but in that particular election year, the disposable personal income of the people went up, so they will vote for that incumbent, ignoring the corruption allegations, etc. That is the meaning of this statement. Is it true? No, it cannot be true. See, other things being equal, there is a clause here, other things being equal means if the incumbent as well as the opponent, they are of equal merit, equal quality, there is not much to choose between these two people, only then the people, the voters look at the increase in their real personal income. If there is an increase in their own personal income, they will vote for the person who has ruled them so far, so that they can increase their income. That is the meaning. So here other things being equal is very, very important. Here the other things are not equal because the incumbent is tainted by corruption, so he is not equal to the opponent. So in such cases you cannot make this conclusion. So that is why this is wrong. Option C, the financial prosperity of an incumbent influences the electorate to vote in his or favor during elections. See, we are not talking about the incumbent's financial prosperity. We are talking about the financial prosperity of the voters. It is not the incumbent. Incumbent means the existing candidate or the existing person who is enjoying the office. So the passage is not about the financial prosperity of the incumbent. The passage is about the financial prosperity of the electorate or the people who are voting. So that is why this also is wrong. Option D, an incumbent eager to be re-elected should be amenable to improving the financial well-being of the electorate, especially during an election year. Good conclusion. It says that an incumbent who wants to be re-elected, what he should be doing? He should be amenable means he should be favorable, or he should be more interested in improving the financial well-being of the electorate, especially during an election year, because it is in the election year this is going to be crucial. So when an incumbent wants to be re-elected, he should work towards improving the financial well-being of the electorate, because that is what decides the votes in his favor. So this is a good conclusion. Keep it in your mind. Option A, the outcome of a presidential election is substantially affected by factors other than the ideological positions. So here this also seems to be a good thing, because it is saying that it is not the ideological positions of the candidate that is mattering to the people. People will look at other things like their disposable income and all those things. So this is seems to be a good answer, but there are two problems here. What is the problem? First problem, presidential election. We are not talking about presidential. The passage does not say that it is a presidential election. So a conclusion should be supported by the facts. Here there is no fact to support the idea that this is a presidential election. That is the first problem. Second problem is it's substantially affected by factors, plural. As per our passage, it is talking about one factor that is other than the ideological position. That is the real disposable income of the electorate. But the passage is making a conclusion, or this statement is making a conclusion that there must be some other factors like this. This is called a far-fetched conclusion, because from the passage we know that there is one factor other than the ideological position of the candidate that decides the outcome of an election, whereas the option state that there might be many other factors like this. So the option is assuming that just like the factor that is stated in the passage, there might be other factors which we don't know. That is why this is a far-fetched conclusion, so not a good conclusion. So that is why option D is the only good conclusion. available to you, which can be properly drawn from the statements above. So I hope this is clear. So that's all for now. I think your have got some idea regarding how to apply your logic in arriving at the answers for this kind of critical reasoning questions. Once you develop this skill, your VRC section will become easy. You only need to focus on the comprehension part. The application of the logic will be very easily coming to you, and you will be able to crack the VRC passages without an issue, and come out with good marks. So I hope this is useful to you. If you have found this video to be useful, please like, share, and subscribe so that I get motivated to come out with further videos. Thank you. Bye bye.